We're going to talk about comments, bring in the comments, all the comments. This, I think, is one of my favourite things, which we've neglected. So we're going to do far more of this, because otherwise you're just thinking, I'm leaving all these comments, they're witty, they're to the point, they're really, I've really got him there, and he's not responding, probably because, I've burned him so badly. No, it's just because of lack of time, but we will do this more. Now, let's go through this. Liam Gordon, why would you vote Conservative? That is a question which changes its meaning depending on the tone. So, for example, you might be saying, why would you vote Conservative? Or you might be going, why would you vote Conservative? See, very different meanings. I would go for why would you vote Conservative? Because I always think it's more useful often not to ask yourself, why do people support the things I do, but why don't they? Now, I think we can win some of those people over, but we can only do that if we understand the reasons for it. One of the things traditionally, which obviously the Tories have tried to tap into, and it's partly because they are the party of the rich and they're trying to play that to their advantage. They're like, oh, well, we know how business works because we're business people. Now, if we look at their economic record, because that's what, they say Labour's a risk and all the rest of it, I mean, that is a bit of a joke now, I would argue, and we can make that case. They said they'd wipe out the deficit by 2015, didn't get close, now we're saying 2025. They've added more debt than every Labour government put together in history. We've now got the weakest growth of any G7, they're the major industrialised countries. We've got a productivity crisis. The other thing they make, their big trump card is stability.
To elect the strong and stable leadership of a Conservative government with a strong and stable government. A choice between the strong and stable leadership of the Conservatives for strong and stable leadership.
On all of those measures, they're not really doing that well either, let's be honest. On other stuff, it's often hard-nosed stuff. On law and order, for example, the Tories often posture there. Problem with that now is they've cut 20,000 police officers, and Labour are arguing to have an increase in 10,000 police officers and have made it clear that Theresa May has put this country at risk.
You don't deal with terrorism by cutting police numbers. You deal with it by making sure the police are properly there and properly resourced. You also deal with it by looking at the root causes, looking at the funding that goes into terror groups, and building a society where there's a community cohesion rather than a community division.
The other issues traditionally often been immigration and often scapegoating migrants for the problems caused by those at the top. I think now Labour, because they've got an argument about, well, the people at the top are really responsible, I think that's really beginning to seep in. But in any case, we've got to understand, there are still people who think they're voting Tory because of economic credibility, for reasons of stability, on things like law and order and immigration, hard-nosed reasons. You might not like those reasons. I disagree with them profoundly, but we do have to get into their heads and understand them. Empathy, if you like. DRDRGHT, laughingstock of Europe, more like the EU is the laughingstock of Britain. Oh no, you didn't. I bet you were so proud of yourself when you wrote that, didn't you? I bet when you typed it in and pressed return, you're like,
oh, it's a deep burn.
There are 27 EU countries. They have quite a lot of bargaining power over us, and they don't take us very seriously at the moment. And the reason for that is because this country is in quite a serious amount of political turmoil and chaos. We have a Prime Minister with no authority. We have a Conservative Party riven with internal division. There are lots of people who don't like the EU in Britain. I understand that, I accept that. But we don't really have the whip hand in terms of those negotiations, because there's a lot more of them than there is of us. I want the best possible deal that imaginable, but I would say, and there was an election recently called on this basis, what we need is strong and stable government, not a coalition of chaos. And the only way of doing that is, of course, to have another election at some point when it's clear we can't get that strong and stable government, where we can get strong and stable government under Labour and Jeremy Corbyn. And then the EU might take us a little bit more seriously. I've just had a piss. I mean, what sort of name is that? Owen should grow a full beard for gravitas, maybe even twist it into strands, which he can tie little play toys and bells to his cat. Well, my cat is here, and he's causing all sorts of problems by being in the way of the camera. Now, Keir, come on. No, I know it's so tough, isn't it? It's so hard. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think I can grow a beard. I think the problem there is that I think I'd look ridiculous if I could grow a beard. It's weird, Keir, actually, because he never asked for food. Well, I mean, when he never asked for food, cat's not going to go, hello, could I have some food, please? But he never meows asking for food. You have to remember. And, all right, you can get down. There you go. But he does ask to play a lot, and that is his big thing. He's got these sticks, which he's obsessed with. Aren't you? You really like playing with them. Can't speak back. And that's his big thing. But I just don't think it's going to work because of the lack of beard. I mean, it's been quite a convoluted answer, but I would keep it in because Keir is excellent clickbait. Citizen Scriv, we shouldn't be dogmatic, says the most dogmatic person ever. Yeah, you know what? I get 2 complaints sometimes. Well, I get more than that, but let's just stick with these ones. Too dogmatic and unbending in my views, and being inconsistent and U-turning. And what I would say to both of those is what I try to do is base my views on the evidence as I see it. So, for example, Jeremy Corbyn. I campaigned for him to become Labour leader, put everything into that, and I voted for him in both leadership elections. But I came to the conclusion that the polling would never be turned around because it was so catastrophic that people had made up their minds about him, and that therefore the ideas that I believed in would be buried in electoral Armageddon. And I was completely wrong about that. So now some people go, oh, jumping on the Jeremy Corbyn bandwagon as though I hadn't supported him from the beginning. On the basis, well, you know, why are you supporting him now? We didn't support him earlier in the year. It's like, well, my objection was I thought the polling was so bad we'd get a terrible election result. We didn't, therefore my objection disappears. If I was going to be dogmatic, well, if I was going to be dogmatic, I wouldn't have changed my view in the first place, and maybe, you know, some of you gone, well, you should have been dogmatic then. But if I was going to be dogmatic, I don't know what this would mean in the context. It would mean I'd have to say, well, I'm still not going to support him, despite being proven wrong about the election result. Doesn't make any sense. On the EU, there's another example. I know people often say this, I never actually said the left should support Leave, but on this YouTube video and an article I did, I said the left had to consider the case for a variety of reasons. My view solidified behind supporting Remain, a critical Remain campaign, and Northern Europe as possible, where we went, yeah, the EU is not perfect, but we need to change it by staying in. My view was, well, this isn't even about the EU, this referendum. It's about xenophobia and scapegoating migrants for all the ills in society. And the Leave campaign ran such a toxic campaign that I thought it would be a disaster if they won. I stick to that view, incidentally, even though I respect the will of the British people and we have to implement Brexit. And the issue is what Brexit we have. I know that's alienated a lot of other people. That isn't, in my view, flip-flopping. That's going, what does the evidence tell me? And if the evidence points in a direction where I think this isn't good or helpful, then I'm not going to go la 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 dogmatic and ignore things. I'm going to go, well, I've got to change my view on these things. So to answer your what wasn't really a question, it was just a kind of like little jab. I don't think I am dogmatic, actually. So, amusing lentil. Your haircut is surprisingly similar to Keir Starmer's. Are you taking inspiration? Yes, he's my fashion guru. I named my cat after him. That's not true. Both Keir Starmer and my cat are named after Keir Hardie. Now, a lot of people are saying it's crooked. In fact, I'm going to fix that now. Just got to respect him as the first leader of the Labour Party. Oliver Price. Can you help us in Welwyn Hatfield to get rid of Grant Shapps, please? Grant Shapps, known by a few other names, to be fair. Oh, dear. Oh, Grant. Oh, you've had a mare there, haven't you? So, in 2015, his majority was over 12,000. This year, when Theresa May decided to massively increase the Tory majority, the Tories' Grant Shapps' majority went down to 7,369, which was a swing of 5 points against him. Yeah, I'm up for campaigning there. What at the moment I'm doing is campaigning all over the country. So Ian Duncan Smith, we did the other week, hundreds came out, flooded his constituency. He had a majority of 8,386 in 2015. That went down to 2,438. Oh, Ian, sad. So all over the country, look up your nearby marginal constituencies and go and campaign. The Tories are rattled and scared and frightened, as rightly they should be. And in the next election, who knows, we could end up with a strong and stable Labour government under Jeremy Corbyn, which will change this country forever. Cheers, everyone. Great stuff. Do keep those comments coming. And we'll do some soon-ish, hopefully. And as ever, there are lots of videos which you can click on. Do click on them. We've got loads of videos to come. So spread the word. Sounds a bit gospel-y, but you know what I mean. subscribe. I'll see you next time.